Recently, we've been looking at both the costs and benefits of underground mining as President Trump leads the charge to reverse a ban on such mining near Minnesota's beloved Boundary Waters. Chris Harapsky takes it a step further by traveling to Michigan to visit the type of mine that is being proposed here. It is the only primary underground nickel mine in the country right now.
8 miles from Lake Superior, carved into the forest of the UP, is a portal.
Pick up in the portal.
To another world.
So yeah, this is the portal. And right here is where we actually entered rock.
At a 14-degree decline, we drive 6 miles underground into the dark abyss to a depth of 3,000 feet.
15 is our speed limit underground.
A daily descent for 6th-generation miner Andy Vaughn.
I started mining when I was 22. It's allowed me to see the country and make a good living.
These are the capillaries of the Eagle Mine, a 24/7 operation where beeps, flashing lights, and trembling vibrations fill your senses. It is a dangerous job.
So just watch that right there. That's all loose there, so stay kind of over this way.
We can't go under unsupported ground, so.
Makes sense.
Those dangers countered with strict standards and new technologies.
So that's a rebar bolt. So that's a resin, an epoxy, has it glued into the rock there. If there's a fault in there, it'll hold them.
Refuge chambers are placed every quarter mile in the event of collapse, and escape ways are bored from the bottom of the mine.
In the event that there is an emergency, you can get 300 feet above and below, and you get your work on in for the day.
All of that to extract this.
Right there, it's everywhere. See all it looks like it's gold? That's all the nickel.
The mining process begins with a blast.
I'm not part of the stope crew. We make the big holes, then we'll come in and fill them with explosives and boom, let her go.
The ore falls into the cavern beneath it, where it is scooped up or mucked and hauled to the surface. Next step, they have to backfill those holes.
He's got a jammer on the front of this loader. He just keeps pushing it to the back.
Trucks pack a rock and concrete mix into the blown out cavities, making them rigid enough to move on to the next section.
It's got to have enough moisture to make it strong and dry and sticky enough to push up and hold.
Back on the surface, haul trucks loaded with more than 40 tons of ore are covered and then washed to strip away any contaminants. They are now ready for the 60-mile trip to the Humboldt Mill, where the processing begins.
We are at the beginning of the crushing process at the Humboldt Mill, where we process nickel and copper.
Each chunk of rock contains metals, some more than others. To separate rock from metal, the ore needs to be crushed in 3 stages, from boulder to gravel and eventually to fine sand. It's a dusty place, but the dust doesn't go to waste. The particles filtered from the air are tossed back in with the ore during the concentration process.
It's kind of a mix between like dirty jobs with Mike Rowe and get to play with science.
Mike Tyron's worked at Eagle Mine since 2014. Today, he's monitoring the separation tanks, where filtered water is mixed with the ore and certain chemicals to adjust the pH level.
Basically, we can get copper to float and nickel to sink at a certain pH level.
The slurry of bubbling metal is then pressed into copper and nickel sulfide, loaded by rail to be smelted into pure copper and nickel in Canada. Eagle Mine produces about 2,000 tons of ore every day. The Twin Metals Minnesota mine has a proposal for up to 20,000 tons per day. That's about 10 times the amount of processing as this facility.
We poll the community on what their biggest concerns are twice a year. Number one on the top level of concern, even 11 years in, is still the water. You got to protect the water, the groundwater. Don't mess up the groundwater, don't mess up the surface water.
Those standards include storing tailings underwater. Without access to oxygen, it prevents the acid mine drainage chemical reaction. Any water they use at the mine or the mill undergoes reverse osmosis filtering before releasing it back into the environment. And when it comes to testing ground and surface water to check for pollution, Eagle Mine went a step further.
It's rather unprecedented in the world, and we don't know of another program like it.
Jerry Grant is a biologist with the Superior Watershed Partnership, which opposed the mine before it was built. To help quell concerns, she says Eagle agreed to fund a community environmental monitoring partnership. It allows environmental watchdogs like Superior and the local Keweenaw Indian community to test and track water quality at sites around the mill and the mine.
None of them to date have impacted the environment or pose any impacts to human health. But there are areas that we're still watching and comparing to state and federal standards for water quality.
The Keweenaw tribe also opposed the mine in the beginning, suing to try and stop it. They lost in court, but today there appears to be mutual respect.
I do think that Eagle Mine is an example of a mine that has made serious investments, both financially and time-wise, to build a relationship with the community. Where we're at now is we would consider this a successful mine, but they still have a few more years of operating life, and then we get into that post-closure period.
The ultimate question, can sulfide mining be done without hurting the environment? The track record indicates it's rare, but Michigan's Eagle Mine so far appears to be carving a new path.
Well, if you missed any of Chris's stories in this series, you can actually watch the full half-hour special on this topic right now, right here on KARE 11 Plus. Just look for it on the carousel at the bottom of the page. Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.